So here we are, volume 3 of the quick squash tips, 13 ideas to make you play better squash. Now these originally were posted in Instagram, and if you're an Instagram user, you can follow me here, link is in the text descriptions. And if you haven't seen volume 1 and volume 2, you can see them up here, or again, link is in the text descriptions. And as always, if you've got any questions, ideas, suggestions, feedback, post them in the comments because I respond to each and every comment. So let's get started. So I've just received a call from somebody in the World Squash Federation telling me that they're going to make diving compulsory, that players will have to dive at least once per game. They think it's going to be something that will help them get into the Olympics. It'll make the sport more exciting. Seems, pretty radical to me. Anyway, what do you think about that? Diving as being compulsory? Hitting nicks is one of the most amazing things you can do when you play squash. The front wall, side wall, and the roller, if you're lucky, is fantastic. Watch any professional squash match and you'll see that most of the time that's how they win the rally. They win the rally that way because their opponent is too agile, too fit, and too determined to win in almost any other way. You only need to go to YouTube to watch the compilations of the best shot of the match, the best shot of the tournament, or the best shot by particular players to see that 95% of those shots are nicks. I believe that those three things give an unrealistic expectation to club players. I'm not saying that club players shouldn't hit nicks. I'm not saying that club players shouldn't practice nicks. I'm saying that if you hit the ball tight, if you hit the ball wide, and if you hit the ball short, that will be enough to win most club rallies. Beware the obsession with nicks. Regular viewers will know that I emphasize the idea of practicing as much as playing. Last week I talked about creating a drill squad, a group of players who get together regularly to do different types of drills. Well, in this video I want to encourage you to find a regular practice partner. The right practice partner is almost as important as finding the right coach. Now, one thing I really want to emphasize here is the best player in a group is not necessarily the best practice partner for you. You need to find somebody who fits your schedule, which is important because practicing regularly is really important. And B, finding somebody that suits your needs. Somebody who's willing to do the routines and practices you need, and of course you need to be prepared to do the ones that they need. So make the effort to find the right practice partner and it will bring a lot of benefits. You obviously need a racket to play squash. You can't play squash without one. But I believe as a community, we are too focused on the latest technology. The racket is just a tool. Give a cheap racket to a great player, that player will be a lower player with the most expensive or newest racket. This video is to encourage you to actively and consciously play with as many different rackets as possible. One day you will start hitting with one and you will say, wow, that feels great. How expensive a racket is, how new it is, how light it is should not be the criteria for choosing a racket. It's how it feels for you. So go and test as many rackets as possible and find the right one for you. Today is the start of a 5-day series, one video each day, all on the same topic. This series is about the heat up. I'm going to give you the overview now, and then each of the following days I'll be talking about the individual phases. The first phase is phase G. This is where you are doing general movement. You are trying to increase your heart rate and increase your body temperature. You're not going to be doing anything too extreme, and you're going to be slowly building up the intensity. The next phase is phase S. This is where you start to do squash specific things. That could be swinging, it could be ghosting, or something specific to your particular needs. The next phase is phase M, M for mentality, and M starts exactly at the same time as phase G. This is where you focus on dealing with your nerves, your motivation, thinking about your game plan. And the final phase is phase K, the knock-up, what to focus on and what not to focus on. So look out for those this week. Day 2 of the Heat Up series. This is phase G. Phase G is the general phase. You should be looking to increase your heart rate and increase your body temperature in a slow, controlled manner. I always recommend a tracksuit or outer clothing. What you need to do is some kind of general movement that you can slowly increase the intensity. I use a spinning bike every single time I can. If not, I will do some court movements. I will jog up and down the court, going forwards, going backwards, side to side. Any kind of movement that's not too extreme and is not too stretching for you. You need to increase the intensity slowly, and you need to make sure that you are sweating after you finish this. If you are not sweating, you either need to increase the time or you need to increase the intensity. My phase G lasts for 12 minutes. The minimum phase G should last is 6 minutes. So here we are, day 3 of the Heat Up series. This is phase S. Phase S is for specific. You have already completed the phase G, which is where you've increased your body temperature and you've increased your heart rate. You are sweating at this point. You will now begin to do something which is squash specific. I start with some swings in all different types of situations, high and low and behind me, and then I move on to some light ghosting and begin to increase the intensity. I need to make sure that when I walk onto the court to actually start hitting the ball, I've done all the potential movements that I could have done in phase S. I don't want to be having to stretch in strange situations, which I should have done in phase S. Phase S is also the specific phase for you. For example, I do something called Jefferson curls. You can look on the internet if you're interested in those, but you might have some specific movements that you need to do, and now is the time to do it. Day 4 of the Heat Up series. This is phase M for mentality. Now what you should be doing here is you should have started this process from the moment you started phase G. Now obviously I can't give you a course in sports psychology in the next 40 seconds, but what you're trying to do for this match preparation is you're trying to remove any distractions. Don't think about what happened at work or your place of study. Only think what you're about to be doing on court. What worked for me was mental imagery. I used to imagine myself implementing the game plan that I had set for this particular match. Now you can do other things. Some people like to listen to headphones, other people like to meditate. But what's important is, and what you probably shouldn't do, is you shouldn't be playing with your phone. You shouldn't be introducing anything else which is going to distract you. Begin the process of focusing on the match that you're about to play. Day 5 of the Heat Up series. This is phase K for knockup. Going to start with a Drake meme, which means ignore your opponent. You won't be able to learn enough to make a difference, and it'll only distract you. What you do need to do is focus on you. You need to focus on hitting the ball in all situations. Hitting it hard, hitting it soft, hitting it high from the back, low from the back, hitting it from the middle, volleys, boast, drops, counter drops, lobs. You need to make sure that you've played all of those different types of shots, so the moment the first rally comes in the match, you are ready to move anywhere and hit anything. Now, if the court is new for you, then you could try to learn a little bit about the court. Do the sidewalls respond in the same way, for example? What about the floor? What about the lights? Now that you understand a little bit more about the different phases, phase G, phase S, phase M and phase K, you should be ready to put all of that into practice and play the best match possible. I wish you luck. Just a quick update on the goggle situation. In case you don't know, I have publicly committed to wearing my goggles on court at all time. Now there are 2 inconveniences related to wearing goggles, but both of those inconveniences fall into insignificances when you consider what you're actually protecting. The first one is to do with sweat, and the solution for me was to simply wear a headband. This stopped me from sweating onto the goggles, and I had no problems ever since. The second inconvenience is to do with fogging. And I noticed that they only ever fogged up when I actually stopped moving. So at the end of a rally or the end of a game, end of a training session, I just take them off and there's no problem, and then put them back on as soon as I'm about to start. Now, all players of whatever standard or experience owe it to themselves to at least try them for an extended period of time. Now, an extended period of time will be at least 10 times. You must at least try them. The ability to remain patient when under pressure and both mentally and physically tired is a key attribute in all successful squash players. Unlike all mental strengths, patience can be developed and improved. Waiting for the right moment to attack in a rally can be the difference between winning and losing a match. Commit to becoming more patient from this moment forward. Bruce Lee once said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." And it is a great quote, but let's put it into context. Imagine you play a very average player who has the best forehand cross-court nick you have ever seen in your life. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to play it mostly on the backhand or very low forehands. So whilst I encourage you to develop a signature shot, a shot that gives you confidence and wins you points, I need you to understand that it's the difference between your best shot and the quality of your rest of the shots that's more important. You need to constantly be increasing both of them. You definitely don't want to be increasing your signature shot at the cost of all of your others. By increasing the quality of the rest of your shots, your signature shot becomes much more effective. There will come a day when you cannot get any fitter, any faster, any more powerful. There will come a day when you cannot improve your swing or your footwork made more graceful. There will come a day when you cannot get any mentally stronger or improve your concentration. But today is not that day. No matter how little time you have available to improve your squash, you can use it effectively. Perhaps you only have 10 minutes to do flexibility work. Perhaps you only have 5 minutes to do balance work. Perhaps you only have 2 minutes to do mental imagery. But if you do those things every day for a month, your squash will improve. And you can do those things today. You're about to hear Mark Spitz, the great Olympic swimmer. He's going to talk about the difference in mentality between training and performing. Listen.
During the time you're practicing and training, it's 80% physical and 20% mental, but for some reason when it comes time when the gun goes off, then it's just the opposite. It's 80% mental and only 20% physical.
I love that. It emphasizes the importance of mentality. No matter how fit you are, no matter how good your swing or how good you move, if you don't choose the right shot at the right time, if you can't stay concentrated, if you can't keep a clear head under pressure, and if you can't keep fighting when the going gets tough, you will not be performing to your maximum. So start today to learn and understand more about sports mentality. I was lucky enough to practice with Jahangir Khan and also receive some coaching from Ramat Khan. And one of the things I always remember him saying was hit it hard. And he said that not because he thought the game was all about power, but because he understood one of the best ways to get stronger and improve your timing was to hit the ball as hard as you can. Now, if you've ever done that, you'll know that after 5 or 6 shots, you're tired because it is really hard work. So from this point forward, every time you go on court, and making sure you're hot, hit the ball as hard as you can for at least some of that training session. After a month or so, you will notice two things. One, you will strike the ball better than you have ever struck the ball before. And two, the average speed that you hit all of your other shots with less effort will have increased. So, in the words of Ramet, hit it hard. The next time you're watching a match, and I'm not specifically talking about professional matches, just any regular match at the facilities where you play, don't just watch it, begin to analyse it. Imagine that you have to talk to one of the players after the match and explain what happened. What would you say? The ability to analyse a match is a very important skill for squash players. If you can't analyse a match when you are a passive spectator, you're unlikely to be able to do that when you're down on court in the heat of battle. Begin to look for patterns. Now imagine that you see a player hit a backhand drop shot into the tin. Don't think that it's black and white, that all of their backhand drops are bad. What was the cause of that? What was the shots before it? You're not going to become a master tactician overnight, but all I want you to do is to become much more observant about the matches that you watch. If you think the content of my videos is useful, please consider subscribing to my channel and turn on notifications. This is a playlist of the technical aspects of squash, which probably interests you if you've watched this video. This is a video that YouTube thinks is a really good fit for you. Thanks for watching, and remember, do something every single day to improve your squash. See ya!